As of yesterday, November 14th, 2024, the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation just gave us a huge announcement regarding some of their parks and new attractions for the 2026 season. In this video, we'll break it all down and try to theorize what some of these new coaster additions could be. First things first, Six Flags is set to invest over $1 billion between 2025 and 2026 into their park. That is a staggering amount. We already know the additions for 2025, so I'm not really going to go over them here, but they will be receiving 7 new coasters along with that new season pass that's available for all 42 parks. 2026 is a bit more in the dark in terms of what these additions are actually going to be. We have titles like a record-breaking attraction or a first-of-its-kind attraction, and for a lot of them, that's about it. We'll talk about some general upgrades to the chain coming in 2026 at the end of this video, but first, I want to talk about the new rides and attractions that we can expect in 2 years. I'm going to go in alphabetical order except for this first one because it's the most intriguing, Six Flags Great Adventure, more specifically, Kingda Ka. If you've been following theme park news, then you probably know that as of a few days ago, Kingda Ka has officially been retired, somewhat out of nowhere. Now, us coaster enthusiasts have heard rumors about Kingda Ka for a very long time, but to the general public, I imagine this comes as a pretty harsh surprise. Unfortunately, this ride had no official send-off, though coaster enthusiasts flooded the park on its final day of operation to get their last rides. So with Kingda Ka being, quote, retired, it was announced that Six Flags Great Adventure will reveal a record-breaking launch coaster. This is incredibly vague, but in order to understand what this ride could be, we also need to note the other rides that are currently being removed at Six Flags Great Adventure, those being Green Lantern, the B&M stand-up coaster, Twister, and Parachute, which are both flat rides, and Skyway is also set to be removed. No demolition permits have been filed for Skyway as of yet, though they have been for Green Lantern, Twister, and Parachute. So it's a pretty rough time right now for Six Flags Great Adventure. There is a lot of change happening at this park in a very short amount of time. Of course, for the 2025 season, they will be receiving the Vekoma Super Boomerang Flash Vertical Velocity. That isn't super relevant to the Kingda Ka conversation. That's a first of its kind for North America, not a record breaker. So let's go back to Kingda Ka. What in the world could replace the world's tallest roller coaster? Let's start with the wild card, the Mach Extreme Spinner. This model has been absolutely loved by coaster enthusiasts and the general public alike. In particular, Ride to Happiness over at Plopsaland Japan in Belgium. That ride looks absolutely insane. Now the one for Six Flags Great Adventure is theorized to be possibly 300 or 400 feet in the air, which would be absolutely wild. And it would break the records for spinning coasters in those fronts, no doubt. This information, by the way, is based off a survey that the park sent out to their fans recently. And so the Mach Extreme Spinner is a real option, but I have a question about cost. This coaster has 3,000 feet of track, a height of 108 feet, and 5 inversions. But the Great Adventure version would be significantly bigger, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say that this would be a $25 million addition. Are they willing to pay this much? In a pre-merger world, absolutely not. But in a post-merger world, I think it's possible. Ultimately though, my gut feeling is that they're going to give this the Top Thrill 2 treatment. What Cedar Point did was call Zamperla, asking for an LSM swing launch instead of the traditional hydraulic launch, and a 400-foot tall spike to boot. Here's the problem though, Top Thrill 2 only operated for a few days in 2024, before closing for the remainder of this season. That is really problematic. People have speculated that the problem with Top Thrill 2 lies with the trains. So it's possible maybe that Six Flags Great Adventure could hire Zamperla to do the refurbishment and hire someone else to do the trains. It gets a little dicey though because the Legacy Cedar Fair side does not really love working with Intamin Amusement Rides, considering the problems they've had with some of their attractions, including Top Thrill Dragster. It's hard to say if their mindset has changed now that they're merged with the Legacy Six Flags side, but you gotta remember, most of the key officials and the higher-ups in this new chain is made up of Legacy Cedar Fair people. I do think that means that they're more likely now as a chain to work with a company like Gerstlauer, but probably less likely to work with a company like Intamin. So in terms of how they divvy up this Kingda Ka refurbishment, I have no idea, but I think that's the most likely option. Plus, keeping the Kingda Ka structure would allow them to keep the world's tallest drop tower, Zumandarro Drop of Doom, open as well. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Now, let's start going in actual alphabetical order, and Carowinds, which will unveil a record-breaking water ride. Carowinds is one of the favorites of the Legacy Cedar Fair chain, getting investments on a regular basis and getting big investments on a regular basis. Water ride is pretty vague. What could that mean exactly? One idea is a mock water coaster. If it wasn't a Power Splash, it could set itself apart from Aquaman Power Wave at Six Flags Over Texas. Plus, if it broke records, then it doesn't even matter at that point. This would be good, but I think a couple other additions are possible. One is a super flume. I absolutely love log flume attractions, and this is similar to that, so I think it would be a great addition, especially if they themed it. Lastly, I wonder if we could see one of those launched log flumes that we saw open at Six Flags San Antonio in 2023. Of these three options, I think I like the last one the best. It's very unique still because there's only one in the entire world, and I think that that would be an eye-catching addition to a very good Carowinds park. Alright, let's go to Canada's Wonderland now, which is set to receive a record-breaking water attraction. Some have already pointed out how interesting that phrasing is. Carowinds says new water ride, and Canada's Wonderland says new water attraction. Maybe Canada's Wonderland is just pulling our leg and it's some sort of crazy record-breaking wave pool. Hopefully that's not the case, but I've seen crazier things. More seriously, I also think a water coaster could be an option for Canada's Wonderland. Though if it was a roller coaster, I think they would have specified, because the other parks in the chain that are receiving new coasters did. It is worth noting that markings have been spotted by Dragonfire, and I wouldn't be surprised if that roller coaster is on its last leg. It's an old aerodynamics looping coaster that has been outclassed. I also wouldn't be surprised if this was an addition to their water park, maybe some sort of new record-breaking slide. Canada's Wonderland has been getting a lot better in the coaster department, and so I would always love to see a new coaster investment, but a water slide or some sort of attraction for the water park almost seems more likely in my opinion. Okay, let's go to Kings Island now, which is set to debut a new Family Thrill attraction. Family Thrill attraction could practically be anything. Heck, it could be a swinging ship. But based off the survey that Kings Island sent out, it's possible that this is going to be a Family Thrill coaster. Family Thrill is pretty subjective, so what thrill level qualifies as Family Thrill? That's a great question, and I don't know the answer in terms of what Kings Island is thinking there. But according to that survey, they said it would be the world's longest family coaster at 4,500 feet of track, with 3 launches and a 55-mile-an-hour top speed and a reverse spike. This sounds really promising, and getting back to the conversation we were having earlier, it's interesting to see what manufacturer could build this if this indeed is the Family Thrill attraction that they promise. Would it be Gerstlauer, or would it be Intamin, or would it be someone out of left field? I gotta tell you, this reminds me a lot of Gold Rush, which opened at Drayton Manor in 2024. This coaster is extremely dynamic. It is built by Intamin, but it features forwards and backwards sections and essentially a spike. It's a very complicated ride, and I'm not going to explain it all here, but the point is, I think Intamin could do something similar for Kings Island if they were given enough of a budget. And you know, there is a plot of land that has been sitting there available for the last couple of years. How about the land that Vortex used to sit on? That coaster's been closed for a minute now, but that plot of land is one of the best available plots of land in the entire Six Flags chain, and I think this would be a great usage of that plot. So exciting stuff for Kings Island. Real quick, Knott's Soak City is going to be receiving a water park refresh and aesthetic enhancements. This again is pretty vague, but I wouldn't expect anything too major here. Maybe landscaping improvements, maybe a new food stand, something along those lines. From here, let's go to the crown jewel of the legacy Six Flags side of the chain, Six Flags Magic Mountain, which will be getting a first of its kind coaster in North America. It's very important to note that this is not the first in the world, just the first in North America, which leaves a lot of options still available. Let's run down the one that everyone is dreaming about, an SNS Axis coaster. There are a few of these going to Saudi Arabia for 2025, so this would definitely be the first in North America. Do I think it's going to be an SNS Axis? Honestly, I'm a bit hesitant. I think they might go with something a bit more family friendly. Looking at the survey, it's possible that this is going to be a roller coaster dark ride hybrid, which is completely unexpected if that is really the case. Now, you do have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and some other coasters here in North America that kind of fit that bill. So, how would it be the first in North America? Well, potentially, it could be the first multi-dimension coaster from Intamin in America. These rides feature rotating seats and can do a whole bunch of different things to follow a story, including drop tracks, launches, etc. How much would they commit to theming? That's ultimately the question. They've been getting better, both sides of the chain have, but still not Disney level or anything. There seems to be a plot of land available, next to Full Throttle, across from Bugs Bunny World in the front of the park. As of earlier this year, there were walls up around that area, and I was wondering if they might add a new coaster there in the near future, and now it's looking very possible. Moving on to Six Flags Great America briefly, they are set to receive a new kids area, commemorative events, and park enhancements for their 50th anniversary. Congrats, Six Flags Great America. On that note, its sister former Marriott park, California's Great America in Santa Clara, had nothing listed on this list, which is a bit unfortunate. This is a park that will also be celebrating its 50th anniversary. Of course, we know that it's going to close in a few years because the land has been sold to real estate developer Prologis, but I'm still a bit bummed about that. In fact, really none of the smaller or mid-sized parks in this chain are getting any investment for 2026, at least not any that's been announced yet, which also sucks for Valleyfair because they'll be celebrating their 50th. But alas, going back to the park that's actually receiving something for their 50th, I think it's going to be great for Great America. Really celebrate 50 years of operation. We still have a couple parks left, and the next one is Six Flags Over Texas, which will be debuting a new record-breaking dive coaster. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be a B&M dive, but according to surveys, this could be over 300 feet tall, which would be insane. Being held over a drop at that height would be pretty wild, and it would really put Six Flags Over Texas back on the map. To put into context how big this is, Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger is 150 feet tall. That opened at Six Flags Fiesta Texas in 2022, so we're possibly thinking about doubling the height. This would, in some sense, be coming off the heels of Wrath of Rakshasa, which opens at Six Flags Great America next year. It's another B&M dive. Now, by record-breaking, they could also be talking about having the world's steepest drop on a dive coaster, which would be 97 degrees, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go for the height record either. And finally, last but not least, is Six Flags Mexico, which will be receiving a Family Thrill Boomerang coaster. The question on this lies as to what qualifies as a family thrill attraction, once again as I was talking about a few moments ago. To me, if it was going to be a Vekoma Super Boomerang, they would call it a thrill coaster, so I have a feeling that this is going to be a Vekoma Family Boomerang. I suppose it could be built by Gerstlauer, but either way, a very similar attraction. This is also evidenced by the fact that recently, Kings Island invested in Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, which is a Vekoma Family Boomerang. For a park like Mexico, the one problem I have with this addition is capacity. I think this coaster could receive some pretty long lines because Six Flags Mexico definitely gets crowds. That's all the information we have for new for 2026 rides, but there are going to be some other improvements to the chain as a whole, including rides, attractions, themed areas, dining upgrades, and technology enhancements. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. The press release put it this way, quote, "The capital investments will go far beyond new rides. More than $80 million of the overall 2-year spend will go towards food and beverage upgrades, including new restaurant concepts and improved menu offerings," end quote. If anyone from Six Flags stumbled upon this video and happens to still be watching, please, please, please improve your food offerings. Some of your parks are better than others, but generally speaking, it is very typical theme park food, and in my opinion, that's not exactly a good thing. Hopefully in the next few years, we'll see some good and potentially even healthy options come to the Six Flags parks, as crazy as that sounds. So there you have it. $1 billion of investment is coming to the Six Flags chain between 2025 and 2026. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this news, what you think of the Kingda Ka situation, and which of the smaller parks should have gotten a new ride for 2026. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.